On today's show, we head to Sydney Motorsport Park in the Amaroo South Circuit as Australia's premier drifting series returns for a new season of warfare with round 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars Series. Then we head across to the French Alps into the world-famous Val Thorens ski resort for the opening round of France's premier ice racing series, the 2019-20 Andros Trophy. And later in the show, we head to the Perth Motorplex in Western Australia for the latest instalment of the Aeroflow Outlaw Nitro Funny Cars. This is Speedweek.
Rain clouds are looming in the background, but the sun is shining on Sydney Motorsport Park for round 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift Allstars, a 5-round series in 2020. We got plenty of big names and a couple of changes in the season. Dave Carter with you here in the commentary booth, and joining me for the full 2020 season, Matt Kavanagh. Welcome, mate.
Mate, I cannot wait to see what this season is going to bring. It was a big year last year. I actually got to go around with Danny Probert on his pick crew to go most of the rounds, so it's great to be up here in the commentary and joining you, Dave, for what is going to be probably one of the most epic seasons we've seen. 5 awesome rounds going to 4 states and some big names making the trip here to throw down with the best in the country in the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars. Let's catch up with a few of those big names in the pits with J-Mac.
2019 was a fantastic year for the team. Obviously, the car performed flawlessly throughout the year. Towards the end of the year, we actually finished about 100 points clear of our nearest rival in second place. So, moving into 2020, it's much the same. Probably the only different thing is the beard on my face this year. But look, the car is performing on point this weekend, so we're shaping up for a good-looking season.
So we did a bit of research over the off-season as how we can improve the car. We noticed that V8 supercars run an adjustable sway bar, and it was legal to run in our rule book, so we decided to put one in the car, and just makes the car a little bit more adjustable between our lead run and our chase run, just to slow it up, make it a bit more grippy if we wish, and means we don't have to come into the pits to change the car.
We did reasonably well with our old subframe last year, but we've had a look and we've improved the geometry on the new subframe. So what we've been able to do is create a bit of a window where we can start really dialing in and getting the setup right. So traditionally the car's been over-gripped from the rear, the tail's been wagging the dog, if you like. Now what we've got is a subframe that's moving a lot nicer, and yeah, we've found some tunability.
It's been relatively easy. There has been obviously a lot of things I've had to adapt to in a different way, where the Supra's got a lot of horsepower and it's very volatile on the track. The BMW is a lot smoother. It's like ballet, really. It's elegant between the corners. It loves transitions. It loves steering input. It's a lot easier to drive than the Supra in that respect, but with the horsepower, I'm used to having all that power on tap and the gas and everything. It's a little bit of a different drive, but I really do like the chassis.
So what we decided to do with this combo was go big cube LS. The idea was to rev it, so we wanted to get 9,000 revs out of it, which is not something you really get out of a big cube LS, and stick a dirty big turbo on it. We've put GSR dogbox, G-Force dogbox in it. It's got the Winters diff now, so that can handle the torque and the power. It's got Wisefrab front and rear, and full of zoo everything. So fuel system, all the fittings, all the hoses, throttle body, everything else is zoo. Everything we could use that was zoo is on the car.
Yeah, look, to be honest, you don't talk about the previous year's tyres. You can just talk about these tyres as they are. And like to have Zestino come on board was a massive thing for me. And yeah, like as you said, I had to come to grips with the tyre yesterday. They actually had more grip than I expected. So I actually had to take a bit of grip out of the car to get consistency, and now we're dialing it back in. So super pumped with the tyres.
The judges have been keeping a close eye on qualifying, and right now we're going to ride on board with Beau Yates, a veteran contender who we see coming through the start line now, clicking through the gears, and he'll give it a bit of a faint weight transfer there and flick it right out to the barriers, needing an inside clip here on the corner. The judges looking for the cars to go wide here and nice and deep into that outside zone. Switching back over the hill, it's a bit different here where we're going to get a wide outside line cutting to a late apex, and then an inside clip again across the finish line there.
Qualifying after day one, and it's Matt Harvey from Tasmania. A surprise up the top there. We see James Abbott. Beau Yates, when used to seeing him up the top of the table, down in third. Good to see Mitchell Jeffrey back too, as well as Warwick Hill back out there. As we round out our top 8 there with Scott Schembri and Danny Probert in 7. We head down to Matt Harvey in the pits with J-Mac.
Here with Matt Harvey, a newcomer to the Hi-Tec Drift Australia Series, and bam, straight out of the gates, top qualifier. How does it feel coming all the way from Tasmania and banking such a great score against the country's best?
Oh, it's country's best for sure. It's great for the team. You know, we've travelled from Tasmania, so it's a big trip wherever we go. You know, $2,500 to get on the boat. So you know, it's a credit to the team for putting so much effort in, and we can finally say we got top spot, which is good.
Matt Harvey in fine form after travelling all this way to get the top qualifying spot. He'll be battling Brendan O'Grady, who's having just a few issues there with a new build, but I'm sure he'll get on top of that. Scott Schembri and Roger Ianson will be facing off, as well as Mitchell Jeffrey and Mitchell Doyle, and as well Warwick Hill and Angus Kidd in the battle of the Beamers.
And on the other side of the tree, James Abbott will take on Mitch Cole from Goulburn, who's back in the series with a rebuilt car. Danny Probert takes on Matt Grice. It's going to be the battle of the big flares in that one. Beau Yates then takes on Benny Mear, and Brad Toohey with some brand new sponsors on board, taking on the young gun, Patrick Barley. Here we go, it's going to be Warwick Hill this time in the lead with Angus Kidd behind. The battle of the BMWs, Dave. Cannot wait to see how this one turns out.
Warwick Hill in the lead here, chased by Angus Kidd, who's borrowed the CRC Motorsports E46 BMW. Both these cars packing big power JZs under the bonnet and similar chassis too, so interesting to see the different styles of these drivers shine through. Warwick Hill seemed to have quite a bit of a gap there over Angus Kidd in the chase. Let's see what happens as we switch them around.
Yeah, this time Angus Kidd in the CRC BMW is going to take the lead. Let's see how they go on the entry, and looks like he's gone right up on that curb. They're not quite giving that space that the judges really want. Let's see how he goes to fill this outer clipping zone. Not quite deep enough there, but Warwick Hill is very shallow as well. And the judges were really clear. They wanted the car mid-line up the top there, so not quite giving enough gap there to Warwick Hill.
I think you bang on there, Matty. There's just a few points in this track starting there with the first corner where Angus Kidd just maybe hasn't been wide enough on the outside clip here, but also a little tight on the inside ones, forcing Warwick Hill to just stay that little bit of a step behind, and Kitten Ultra delivering the result for you there with Warwick Hill progressing through to the top 8.
Yeah, fantastic. Let's see who's next. And it looks like it's going to be our number 1 qualifier all the way from Tasmania. Matt Harvey in the lead this time. Brendan O'Grady behind him in that new 180. But some issues there for Brendan O'Grady. It looks like Matt Harvey putting a clinic on. The lines are absolutely perfect. They're nice and deep in that outer clipping zone. Comes through midline up the top. Brendan O'Grady makes some gap up really there with the car. That has some big speed and some huge potential.
Apparently 1,000 horsepower at the rear wheels with only a little bit of boost down that turbocharged V8. Let's see if that extra speed and power is going to help Brendan O'Grady out in the front. I don't think so. Matt Harvey right there with him on the entry, opening up the gap a little bit just to avoid contact as Brendan O'Grady's car slowed down. But again, through the last bit of this section, Matt Harvey is painted all over the rear of Boggers 180.
Yeah, the CRC replay just shows you there. Matt Harvey not giving him much room, but look at the speed there when Brendan O'Grady straightens up. That's got some big mechanical grip coming out of that car. I know they snapped a drive shaft on day number 1, but they've got that fixed and got the car back out, and it looks like Matt Harvey will take the win this time.
I'm going to be really interested to see Brendan O'Grady back in that 180SX though, because that mechanical grip you were talking about, Matt, it just makes such a big difference. So if he can hold on to that, it's going to be an impressive machine. Anyway, speaking about turbocharged V8s, we have Scott Schembri in the company car, the Hi-Tec Oils 350Z, being chased by Roger Ianson, who we've seen having some serious pace throughout qualifying. Just seems a bit shallow there, hopping over the ripple strip on the inside, and a little bit of a deduction there for Roger Ianson in the chase.
Yeah, big drive over the ripple strip. This time Roger Ianson will get to lead. Let's see what Scott Schembri can do. He's been battling well in our practice sessions. He comes up there, just does a nice emulation, nice and close, right in that outer clip zone. What is going to go on there, though? He's hit the dirt. Is that one wheel or is it two wheels? We're going to have to see what the judges think about that one, because obviously quite a big point deduction there if he gets 2 wheels off.
Yeah, that's really going to hurt for Scott, who had a clear advantage throughout here. We'll just see whether it is that 1 wheel or 2 wheels off. It's this outside zone here where the judges want you to push deep, and that's exactly what both drivers have done. But Roger Jansen was so precise on his outside clip there. Scott Schembri expecting to better him and instead running wide and dropping a wheel. The judges have called it a one more time. We're riding on board with the 350Z here, looking at that Wisefab front end and some beautiful MCA shocks doing their thing. This 350Z, bit of a heavy car with a bit of power, but man, does it handle well. That being said, Roger Jansen seeming to easily be able to match the pace of Scott Schembri in the lead there. This S15 has a lot of mechanical grip and makes a bit of power as well, but I can't help but think Scott was a bit slow up the hill there.
Yeah, Roger Jansen did a much better job on that chase run that time, so probably a bit of an advantage this rerun to him. Let's see how he goes out in front. No gap there from Scott Schembri. He is right up on the door of Roger Jansen. Jansen now pushes right out in that outer clipping zone there on turn number 2, and they come up the hill. Doesn't leave much gap there though for Scott Schembri to put the nose in, and that's what the judges want. They want a midline run through that top hill. As we look up on the CRC replay, Scott Schembri, they are almost wheel to wheel as they go through turn number 1. Nice transition there as they both feel the outer clipping zone there in turn 2. And as they come up the hill, you see not mid-track there from Roger Jansen, which may have hurt him in the scores, and the win goes to Scott Schembri.
Yeah, well deserved there. I think Scott may have felt a bit of the speed difference earlier, but you know, he's definitely had no mistakes in the chase while Rogers was that little bit messy. Anyway, on to the Blaze Unit teammate and the other part of the Hi-Tec Oils Drift team, James Abbott, leading Mitchell Cole there, who just seems to be a bit down on pace and maybe struggling a little bit there, while James Abbott showing that clinical style that we've come to expect. Very, very professional driver who knows his way around South Circuit and seems to have a clear advantage there in the lead position.
Yeah, well, it's been a couple of years since Mitch Cole has actually been out drifting. He's only been on this circuit, I think this is his first time, so he's been doing a great job there in practice on day 1. Unfortunately, something went wrong there. As we look through, you can see James Abbott just holding back a little bit. Mitch Cole with some big speed up the hill, but I think it might be a little bit too late at this point after that chase run.
Yeah, Jabbett may be learning from his teammate Scott Schembri that even if you think you may have a clear advantage over the lead car there, if you've nailed down an advantage in the earlier run, maybe just take a little bit of a step back and watch what that lead car is going to do. So James Abbott bettering the line of Mitch Cole there through the outside clip, also nicely through this top section here, but just leaving that separation because he knew he had the safety margin after leading Mitch Cole by quite a distance.
And here we go, the battle of the big flares. Danny Probert in the lead this time, taking on Matt Grice, who has stepped up into our pro category from Pro-Am. And it is the big ACUG Falcon X-Drift, goes through turn number 1, blazing the back tyres. Grice just backs off the pace there, and big gap there. Danny Probert fills that outer clipping zone. Goes wide though over the hill. That is going to be some small deductions there for him in points, but he goes through and finishes off the run in the nice clipping zone.
X-Drift definitely seems to be the faster car of Danny Probert, but Matt Grice has come off some serious form last season, so let's see these guys go head to head. Gricey making the step up, you know, dominating in the Pro-Am side of things, but now having his chance to flex it with the pros. Danny Probert, though, all over the back of that Falcon as much as Gricey is blazing away over the top of the hill.
Yeah, the CRC replay shows it here. Danny Probert leaves him a little bit of a gap, but you see the speed of the Falcon just closes that gap up on the Gricey's Workshop VK Commodore. Gricey does feel that outer zone though, does a nice job there, but he's shallow. He's not mid-line here as they come over the top of the hill. You can see it there, and the win will go to Danny Probert. He'll go to our top 8.
Really nice emulation from Danny as well. I like the way that he was switching at similar times to Gricey, but both drivers have come a really long way. Now this is going to be a battle to watch. Beau Yates leading Benny Meir hard into that first corner there, but Beau heading really wide there on the exit from turn 1, nicely hitting the outside clip though on that second zone. And as they come up over the hill there, both drivers barely separated. Beau Yates doing fantastic in the lead and just leaving Benny Meir behind just at the end of that run.
Yeah, can't wait to see the CRC replay when we see that a bit later. Benny Meir is going to lead this run though. Beau Yates comes behind. Let's see if the proximity is going to be there. It is. Benny Meir runs over that ripple strip though. That's going to hurt him. And I don't know what happened there, but Beau's come into contact with him. Benny Meir just seemed to wash off a fair bit of speed. We'll have to check that one out as they come up the top of the hill. Benny Meir gets back in line. Beau Yates closes that gap right up in the final clipping point. The CRC replay will show it here as Benny Meir, that front spoiler right over. That is what the judges do not want to see. Then you see the wheels slow right down on Benny Meir's car. We'll see it from this angle a little bit better. Check those rear wheels out. You can see the rims slow right down. I think Beau Yates has really had to change his line going through turn number 1, and then with the slow speed of Ben Meir, he's just come in contact with him, but he just manages to reel him in over the top of the hill.
Riding on board now with Brad Toohey in the twin supercharged V8 8.6. This car is a weapon, but so is the S13.5 of Patrick Barley in the chase with an alloy blocked big block Speedway motor under the bonnet. This thing screams up the revs, and Barley sure knows how to use it all over the rear quarter of Brad Toohey's 8.6 there up the hill.
Yeah, Brad Toohey looking nice and fast with those new Zestinos on board. Patrick Barley going to be in the lead this time, and he has plenty of speed in this S13.5 from AB Racing. Nice vision there as you see him go past that outer clipping zone on turn 1. Gets it around, running the line nice and deep through turn 2 as well. Brad Toohey almost stalls it there with the speed. Too much angle locked on, and Patrick Barley goes away. You see Brad Toohey there. He can already tell that is going to hurt him in the scores.
Patrick Barley seeming a little quicker on the entry into turn 1. Toohey doing his best to reel him in here, but as he gets on the loud pedal, that 8.6 just over-rotates slightly, allowing Patrick Barley to put all that power down and climb up the hill and open the distance across the finish line, with Kitten Ultra confirming for us that the judges have seen it the same way, and Patrick Barley will be going through to the top 8.
Yeah, some great vision on the CRC replays as now we see Mitchell Jeffrey going to be in the lead, taking on Mitch Doyle, who's had to step out of his S13 with some clutch issues this weekend, back into the borrowed CRC BMW. Mitchell Doyle is going to have to chase him down. Just coming to terms with the 2J power in this one compared to the supercharged LS he normally does, and not quite getting out in this chase run. Mitchell Jeffrey, though, doing a nice lead run and hitting all those clipping points.
Speaking to Angus and Mitch down in the pits, it seems just lacking a little bit of grip, that BMW. They're trying to get up it as much as they can, whereas Mitch Jeffrey has spent the entire off-season chasing grip in this JZ-powered S13 with the help of Porter Performance and Gearbox Masters, who are spannering away on it in the pits. Beautiful line there from Mitch Doyle, who managed to get right out to the track edge, but wiped off a lot of speed to do it, allowing Mitch Jeffrey to just sit there comfortably in the chase position and really work on that proximity.
The CRC replay shows it here as Mitchell Doyle just getting a bit more comfortable in that BMW there, fills that outer clipping zone on turn number 2, but Mitchell Jeffrey is not giving him any room. He is tight on this chase run, emulating everything he does, and the Kitten Ultra win sign comes up for Mitchell Jeffrey.
Sad to see Mitch Doyle go home after managing to borrow a car, but a solid result for Jeffers, who'll now be facing off against Warwick Hill in the top 8. We've also got Matt Harvey up against a big name here, Scott Schembri. That's going to be an interesting one to watch. James Abbott and Danny Probert will be doing battle, and Beau Yates up against the young gun, Patrick Barley. There you have it. Our Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars Pro Top 8 is finalised. They'll be going head-to-head on the other side of the break, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to round 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars at Sydney Motorsport Park. Matty, there's been a bit of controversy down in the pits about a previous battle.
Yeah, Beau Yates and Benny Meir, lots of talk going on down in the pits about this one, but the judges were very, very clear in the walk this morning. You had to be a metre off that first corner. You had to be a metre off the concrete. As you went through, you went deep into turn number 2. So we'll see what is going to go on. J-Mac went down and caught up with Beau Yates about what happened in the pits.
Someone who definitely wasn't down on grip, Beau Yates taking out Benny Meir. Run us through that battle just then.
Yeah, look, it was a bit scrappy, to be honest. We'd sat around all through the lunch break, and unfortunately the way the draw ran today, we'll probably second or last battle of that top 16. So we've probably been sitting around a bit cold, but just super scrappy. I mean, the car's extremely gripped up. Made a few mistakes in my lead run, which is pretty uncommon, and then obviously in the chase I made contact with Benny, and it's just unfortunate. I mean, just prior to the competition starting, I had a slight problem with the clutch, and Ben and his old man were down here helping me bleed it up, and that's the kind of guy he is. So he's not the kind of guy you want to knock out in the top 16. You want to see him in the final. But two, I just didn't think I was probably good enough to progress, but maybe the judges saw something that I didn't. But hats off to Benny. The car's performing well this year with a new supercharger under the bonnet, and just good to have him back in the series.
A little bit controversial, but we do have both through to the top 8. We'll hear from Benny Meir on the other side of that a little bit later, but facing off against Beau will be Patrick Barley that we just saw on screen there, going through some tactics and working on that killer S15 fronted S13 that's come down from Darwin. Riding on board now with Scott Schembri, who's chasing down Matt Harvey all the way up from Tasmania, and man, is that a tight chase. Scott all over the controls there. Matt Harvey right on the outside clip and leaving a beautiful line there. But Scott washing wide instead of tucking in, potentially putting the hammer down and just trying to chase down that quicker car of Matt Harvey.
I tell you what, Matt Harvey has done nothing wrong so far this weekend. Scott Schembri, though, let's see how he goes. He's been doing some massive entries. Look at this big backwards entry into turn one, washes off a lot of speed. And Matt Harvey, though, right up on there, not afraid to put the nose of that S13 right in there. Scott Schembri comes around a little bit wider over the top of the hill. Plenty of room there for Matt Harvey to put his car in. The Kumho's tyres S13 doing a fantastic job.
I really love watching Matt Harvey's car with just how gripped up it is. We'll see it a bit later in the run, but riding on board with Scott now, that is one killer entry, and look at all the steering angle he's used. Over-rotating slightly and just having to get off the power a little bit before going away there, but Matt Harvey all over him, bobbling that front inside wheel. So much grip. But let's head to the pits quickly with J-Mac and Ben Meir.
Here with Ben Meir, and Ben, talk us through your battle with Beau Yates. I'd like to hear it from your own mouth.
Mate, first battle in the new combo with Yatesy, so I'm a bit quicker than I used to be. It was a bit scrappy from both of us. We both knew that it wasn't our finest laps, but overall it was really fun. Like, I got out of the car and was like, yeah, it was a good lap. Hey, it was good to drive with Beau. Judges made the call. That's their call and they're entitled to that. So I'll catch up with them later and we'll talk through it and move onwards to the next round.
James Abbott going to lead this time. Danny Probert going to be chasing him down that big XD. So let's see what James Abbott will see in those side mirrors. But the big blue ACUG X Drift coming at him. James Abbott does nice through turn number one. And Danny Probert just seems to wash off a lot of speed, which opens up a big gap. And that is probably going to penalise him slightly in the scores here. James Abbott comes over the top of the hill. Nice line. And Danny Probert catches right up to him.
How impressive that Danny's car was able to catch back up to Nigella, the S15. So there's definitely some pace in X Drift, the Falcon. But let's see if Danny can put it all down there in the lead run. Nice line early on there. Will he go? Yes, right to that outside clipping zone. But as he tries to put that speed down up the hill, James Abbott right there with the back quarter of that Falcon.
Yeah, we look up on the CRC replay and Danny Probert does a nice intro. Probably a little bit shallow. He had to be a metre off that corner. And the judges have been very, very specific about that. As you can see from this different angle, he's a little bit shallow on that one. And it just gives James Abbott the chance to catch him up through turn number two. And as they come over the hill, James Abbott stays door to door with Danny Probert. J-Mac caught up with Matt Harvey in the pits.
Matt Harvey, congratulations, taking out your latest battle partner. One step closer as you find yourself into the top four. You're saying the car's getting a little hot, but nothing too much to worry about. How are you feeling?
Oh, no, the car's great. You know, it's getting a little hot because of the mugginess, but other than that, it's been excellent all weekend, and credit to the guys, you know, keeping the car perfect and had no fault since.
You're about to take on the winner out of the Mitch Jeffries and Warwick Hill battle. Tell me, which one would you prefer to battle against?
I've battled both before, so, you know, it's they're both really good drivers, so hopefully, to be honest, I hope Warwick gets up there because he's battled so many good times, so, you know, it'd be good to see him on top.
Beau waiting patiently on the line for what is sure to be a killer battle here up against Patrick Barley, the young gun all the way down from Northern Territory. Beau Yates in the lead first, which will allow Patrick to get familiar with the speed of Beau on the familiar Sydney Motorsport Park South Circuit. That Toyota Genuine Parts 86 rocketing out in the middle straight there, but then Patrick right back in there in the nook behind Beau Yates. Quite a nice chase there from Patrick, but there was just that little bit of separation in the middle.
Yeah, you look up here on the CRC replay and you can see it as they come through turn one. Beau Yates with some nice angle on, gets through there. Opens up a tiny bit of a gap on Patrick Barley, but that big 434 cube big block that Barley's put on board. You'll see it here in the back screen there as he comes right up on the door of Beau Yates, closes that gap right up. Beau Yates making a nice line through the top section as well, Dave. I really liked as he goes through the final clipping point.
Beau's about as slick as they come, especially on a track that he's familiar with, but Patrick Barley is out here for blood, saying he's got one of the quickest cars in the field and he's going to use it. Let's see how they go. Beautiful vision riding on board the Toyota Genuine Parts 86. Barley there with some great speed, but Beau Yates right there with him. It looks like maybe Patrick Barley not going deep enough through the second corner there, but let's head to the replay for a closer look.
Yeah, the CRC replay comes up now, and you can see Beau Yates there gets right up on the door of Patrick Barley. Probably a little bit shallower than we're used to seeing Patrick Barley come through that turn number two. Beau Yates puts that front wheel up on the concrete, which the judges probably will allow in the chase run there.
Looks like we've got it confirmed for Kit and Ultra. They couldn't split them, neither could we. So we're going one more time. We'll see both of these drivers have another chance at a lead and a chase. So back to the original order with Beau Yates in the lead now up against Patrick Barley.
And Patrick Barley's trying to close that proximity, and he does. They make contact as they go through turn number 1. It doesn't look like it alters Beau Yates' line, though. He's a little bit shallow there as he goes through turn number 2, and Patrick Barley keeping that pressure on as they come over the top of the hill. That is going to be hard to call from the judging point.
You get so G'd up when you get sent into a one more time, and Barley just went, you know what, I'm going to put everything I can on Beau Yates here. Didn't quite match the rate at which that Toyota Genuine Parts 86 was slowing down, and collected the front corner of Beau's car with the front bumper of that S13.5. A lot of speed between the two drivers. You see it on board from Beau here that he really felt that tap, having a bit of a look back, but keeping on the power and going where he needs to go, as he won't be phased by that. The question is the first battle out of a one more time, has there been damage? And it looks like there has to the front wheel there. Now, we've seen Beau in previous rounds only having a single pair of these front wheels. They are a very specific width and offset to suit the Wise Fab front end, so it's critical they get these back on the car.
Take it down there. How does it look in the hole though?
Potentially a valve failure here. It looks like they are fiddling around trying to get a tyre valve in there, which is required to hold the air in this tyre. You can see it popped off the bead there. So I'd say Beau's called his 5-minute rule here, and they're going to be rushing to get that car back on track.
Let's check out the CRC replay one more time. After that first battle, I think Patrick Barley was scared of the speed of Beau Yates has come into that turn number 1, so he wasn't going to give him any room whatsoever. Very aggressive there on the entry, and he's a young gun. He's not afraid to put it all on the line, and he has done everything in that battle to do whatever he can to take it to Beau Yates. Unfortunately, the contact there, how the judges will see that, we'll have to find out. As Patrick Barley in the lead this time, and Beau Yates, that Toyota Genuine Parts 86, going to chase him down. Now we see very, very good emulation there from Beau Yates. He is not putting a foot out of place on this run. Patrick Barley goes nice and deep in that outer clipping zone, comes over midway through the top. That is going to be so close to call.
Oh, really difficult one for the judges there. You know, Barley, as much as he did make heavy contact that caused damage, if you're looking at it from the rule book, he didn't alter Beau's line, but then Beau in the chase, not putting a foot wrong, just perfect emulation, as you mentioned, Matty, and just really, really nice proximity, matching Patrick Barley's line throughout. And the judges couldn't split it either. Another one more time, thanks to Kit and Ultra.
Yeah, for Beau's chase, he was very, very good in the first sector, and he really managed to slightly improve Patrick Barley's line there, so I think that may have given him a few points. This time, though, Beau Yates, this is our third run. They can't go again. Beau Yates goes in nice through turn number 1. Doesn't give much gap there to Patrick Barley, and all of a sudden, the smoke show's over. Something's happened to Beau Yates' car.
Oh, I don't know what's going on there. We do have vision on board, so maybe that'll give us a bit of a hint. But Beau definitely seems frustrated with what's going on with the car. It's a real rate of attrition when you run these one more time battles. The car's getting hot, being turned around. It looks like Beau there had a perfect line and then just got to the outside of the track and off the power. Let's see if the CRC replay riding on board helps us out here. The car switches back. He's on the handbrake there, on the power, foot down, but just no power there. He's thrown his hands up in the air. Something's gone on under the bonnet of that 86.
Yeah, almost like it went into limp mode or something like that. We'll have to catch up with him later, but Patrick Barley's going to get the chance to lead now. Let's see how he goes in this lead run. Gives Beau a little bit of room there, and there we go. Gives him a nudge, just give him a bit of payback for that first run. That time they went one more, and now Patrick Barley fills that outer clipping zone nicely. Not quite out there as far, but Beau with a scrappy run that time coming up the hill, not really going wide. I think maybe a little bit of frustration showing in his driving.
Who could blame either of these drivers for getting a little bit frustrated after having to go head-to-head 3 times in these battles? And I think that's the critical moment there where Beau tags Patrick Barley, gets back on the power hard, but blows those rear tyres off and ends up allowing a gap to open up as Patrick Barley puts the power down. But how many times did Beau manage to tap the rear quarter of Patrick Barley's car there before backing off to open up the gap? Either way, the judges have given Patrick Barley the nod, and he's gotten through to the top 4 by the skin of his teeth.
All right, our next battle is going to be Mitchell Jeffrey taking on Warwick Hill in the BMW. Mitchell Jeffrey, this 2J powered S13 now in the lead. Not quite a big gap there on the turn number 1. And Warwick Hill, though, drops off. Big gap, though, appearing as Mitchell Jeffrey fills that outer clipping zone, comes nicely over the hill, midline, just what the judges were looking for. Warwick Hill closes that gap up in the second half of this run.
Heading to the CRC replay, I reckon this is going to be a hard battle to call as both drivers have their pros and cons. Mitch Jeffrey going nicely to the outside zone here, while Warwick Hill a little bit shallower, but then as they switch it around, again, a really nice line here from both drivers. Let's head down quickly to the pits with J-Mac and Patrick Barley.
Patrick, come here. Let's quickly talk about that. What is it, the second one more time against Beau Yates? Tell me, what transpired just then?
Yeah, we were entered into turn one as normal, switched into two, and yeah, Beau was straight and looks like the motor had shut off, so yeah, pulled out of it pretty quick, and yeah, in the second round I just tried to hit all the marks, and I felt him pushing me through the first turn, which it didn't spin me out. Thank God for that, but yeah, super close battle on that chase run, and yeah, I'm pumped.
Mate, he's a rising star, Patrick Barley, and interesting enough, he was the only one that didn't qualify in the top 8 to make it into the top 8 battles. As we turn them round now between Warwick Hill and Mitchell Jeffrey. Warwick Hill in the lead in the BMW. Once again, no one wanted to give a lot of room on that first corner, which the judges are watching so closely. Very wide though in that outer clipping zone. That was nice from Warwick Hill, but not mid-line there coming over the top, so that may just cause a couple of deductions in his points.
Yeah, it's interesting with such a level playing field in the first battle. It's all going to be down to this one. Warwick Hill right on the outside track edge, but I'd have to say Mitch Jeffrey doing a slightly better job in the chase position here, closer on the proximity, bang on the emulation, and following that lead line nicely through the outside clipping zone there. Judges unable to split them though. It's going one more time, but let's catch up with Beau first in the pits.
Beau, a very uncharacteristic drift abortion out there in terms of you calling off the drift while you're in the lead. Tell me, what happened?
Yeah, look, not sure until we go through the data on the ECU, but it was just like some form of heavy cut. It just lost power. As soon as I got like pretty heavily on the power through one, and as I went to switch, it just and just no power, so it straightened up, and you know, it's just a shame. I thought I probably pipped him on the 2 runs that I had, and considering the damage on the front of the car and stuff, I thought we were maybe up in the second one. But look, if that's what the judges wanted to see, it's hopefully they got what they wanted, and unfortunate for the team we're not progressing through to the top 4. But look, Patrick's a immense talent, and hopefully he can go through and win the day.
It's been a long time since we've seen Beau knocked out before the top 4, but it means we've got some fresh blood up there, and it's going to be exciting to see how they come together. But first, we need to decide this battle between Mitch Jeffrey, who is leading Warwick Hill here. Both drivers on point right out to that outside clipping zone there, but Mitch Jeffrey just seems to have a slight speed advantage over that E46 BMW of Warwick Hill.
Yeah, we check out the CRC replay, and like you say, Mitchell Jeffrey doing a nice job here. Not quite wide enough on that first turn from our walkthrough with the judges earlier. Probably puts Warwick Hill off his line a little, but he makes that gap up there as they go through deep into the clipping zone in turn number 2. And then we see Mitchell Jeffrey go wide here as they come over the hill as well. So I think both guys made a couple of errors on their lead runs. It's going to be hard for the judges to decide who is going to take this one as well.
We're going to spin them around though, as this is a one more time battle. So Warwick Hill out in the lead now with Mitch Jeffrey throwing down in the chase. Warwick Hill there just again replicating what we saw earlier of just slightly shallow on that turn 1, which a few drivers seem to be doing, but nicely filling the outside zone, and again doing that late clip, leaving room for the chase car through there. But it's almost a repeat of the earlier battles where Mitch Jeffrey just seems that little bit closer and that little bit faster.
He looks a lot more comfortable in the chase run, Mitchell Jeffrey, whereas Warwick Hill got out in front, like you say, fills that outer clipping zone there. You can see it on the CRC replay. And as he comes over the top of the hill, he just goes a little bit wide. Mitchell Jeffrey following slightly over the top of the hill, not quite tucking right in. It's going to be hard, and we get a one more time from the judges again.
Let's spin him around. Mitch Jeffrey back in the lead. Warwick Hill in the chase. Warwick Hill trying to put all that power down, but having a bit of a roll-on moment there. Didn't stop him from diving in on Mitch Jeffrey through the first corner. Both drivers into that outside zone there. Switching back, nice emulation from Warwick Hill there as well. Another tough one to split, Matt.
Yeah, look up the CRC replay and you can see it there. Mitchell Jeffrey with some big speed into this one. Warwick Hill, though, just puts that inside wheel over the curb. That will hurt him with a slight deduction in the scores there. Mitchell Jeffrey fills that outer clipping zone. Nice emulation there from Warwick Hill, though, as they come up the top. Nothing out of place there for Mitchell Jeffrey, so, you know, it's going to be so hard to call this one as well.
We'll spin him around, but it is down to this decision in the final of our one more times between these drivers. Warwick Hill snappy on the entry there, dragging a little bit of handbrake that's allowed Mitch Jeffrey to catch up, who's diving in again through this zone here. Both drivers on that outside clipping zone, but it seems Mitch Jeffrey just all over Warwick Hill in this chase position. Slightly shallower on the angle though, so again, going to be very difficult for the judges to work out.
Yeah, CRC replay on the screen now. Mitchell Jeffrey's very aggressive in his chase run, isn't he? He straightens a little bit here, which he's allowed to do. He's allowed to, sacrifice a little bit of angle there to try and get the speed and close that proximity. They come through. Warwick Hill gives him a nice bit of room there on turn number 1 as the judges wanted a metre off the curb. You can see there he just straightens up a little bit. Mitchell Jeffrey closes that gap. The proximity is gone. He emulates him up here through the top of the hill. Warwick Hill probably not mid-track there, so that may be a couple of minor deductions. One thing we have noticed throughout today, though, is the judging has really favoured the chase car.
Really difficult job for the judges there, but Mitch Jeffrey just managing to secure himself a spot in the top 4 up against Matt Harvey all the way up from Tasmania, who's been storming through the field. On the other side of the tree, we've got James Abbott and Patrick Barley down from the Northern Territory. Some great names here up against one of our veterans in James Abbott. It's going to be some tight battles to decide our Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars Pro, as well as the Famous Insurance Pro-Am. We'll see you on the other side of the break. Welcome back to round 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars at Sydney Motorsport Park, where we've been blessed by the weather after some serious rain in the previous weeks. There's been controversy in the pits, there's been some tight battles, but before we get back to the pros, Matt, we've got one bumper field in the Famous Insurance Pro-Am that we're about to see now.
Yeah, we started with 28 cars in Pro-Am this weekend, a huge field. It's fantastic to see here at Sydney Motorsport Park for round number 1. We're going to go to the top 4, though, of our Famous Insurance Pro-Am up on track next.
And this is how the battles have shaped up. We have Brian Cruikshank up against Ben Odgers, all the way down from Queensland, with Glenn Ormerod going up against Colm Keogh to decide who will be battling for third as the loser of those 2 battles and who will be in the final. First off the rank, we have Brian Cruikshank up against Ben Odgers.
Yeah, Brian Cruikshank is going to be in the lead in this BMW, and he has opened up a big gap on Ben Odgers. I don't really know what's happened to Odgers. There may be a mechanical issue with the car because he was very slow off the line. Brian Cruikshank being just clinical as he goes through, hitting that outer clipping zone nicely. Remembering this is Pro-Am on radial tyres, so he's doing a nice job coming up the hill, filling all the lines, and Ben Odgers there just catching him in the final part of the run.
Yeah, Ben Odgers' car did look fast, but part of this battle is getting off the line and getting into the course quickly. The lead driver does have to go through a chicane, as we saw there, so pretty clear advantage for Brian Cruikshank after Ben Odgers was left on the line. But this is the second battle where Brian Cruikshank has bettered the line of Ben Odgers through that outside clipping zone there. Ben leaving a nice gap there for the chase driver, as the judges have asked for. As we head to the Famous Insurance replay here, looks like a pretty neat run, except for Ben going a touch tight on the first turn.
Yeah, Brian Cruikshank, though, he just bettered that line this time. And as they come over the hill, we see the win comes up for Brian Cruikshank in the BMW, and he'll be going to battle it out for first place.
It's a big win there and could be going through with the first place trophy, but he will have to face off against one of these two, with Colm Keogh leading in the S15 Sylvia there, and Glenn Ormerod in that little naturally aspirated 13B Corolla doing his best to chase down the powerhouse of Colm Keogh. Doing quite well there to reel back in that green S15, but that power is just too much to overcome over the hill.
Here we go up now, and it's going to be Glenn Ormerod in this rotary-powered KE Corolla, going to be in the lead this time. Looks a lot more comfortable when he's in the lead in his previous battles. Colm Keogh chasing down that S15, comes around, plenty of power, puts it down. Will he close that gap up? Looks like he almost lifts that front wheel up off the ground there that time. Glenn Ormerod still doing nice lines here in the Corolla, but Colm Keogh just closes that gap, and the proximity is so close.
Even on street tyres, you can see Colm Keogh's car just hooks up so well in the Famous Insurance replay here. He's getting on and off the power, and the front of that car just bobbing up and down. Glenn Ormerod all over the judge line, but just unable to match the speed of Colm Keogh, and that's where the judges have given him the nod on the Kitten Ultra result.
So the battle between third and fourth will be Ben Odgers taking on Glenn Ormerod in the Corolla, and the final there for first and second will be between Brian Cruikshank and Colm Keogh in the S15. Can't wait to see that one.
Our famous Insurance Pro-Am final is decided, but we're still in the top 4 of the Hi-Tec Oils Drift All-Stars Pro Series. You can see James Abbott out there warming some tyres in his S15, affectionately known as Nigella. But first, we'll see Matt Harvey leading Mitch Jeffrey, 2 very well set up JZ-powered S13 Sylvias. Both these drivers have had serious pace and some great grip going up the hill. It looks like Mitch Jeffrey knows what he's up against with this Tasmanian going nuts in the lead position, but unable to shake Mitch Jeffrey there. Really, really difficult one for the judges, but what more could you want in the top 4?
Mate, it is top 4 time. The CRC replay shows just how close it is between the drivers in the top 4. Matt Harvey not doing anything wrong. That is a perfect lead run this time in the Kumho Tyres Power Plus Race Fuels S13. Mitch Jeffrey's there though. Emulates everything that he does, keeps that line nice, and that is going to be very hard to split him in that run. But Mitchell Jeffrey's going to get the lead in this one with Matt Harvey in the chase, and Matt Harvey has been one of the best chasers that we've seen all day. Gets that nose right up there on Mitchell Jeffrey. Maybe not as much room given for Matt Harvey to put the total nose cone of that car in there. As they come over the top, Mitchell Jeffrey goes midline. Matt Harvey right beside him though, not giving him an inch all the way through that final clipping zone.
I think this is going to be one of those battles that's down to the details, and while both drivers seem to have practically matching road speed, I think it's Matt Harvey just bringing that little bit more angle. You know, they're both right on the line, but Matt Harvey, as he's emulating and going through, not only in the lead, but also in the chase, he just seemed to have that little bit more steering angle, but without sacrificing road speed. So that's where the judges have given Matt Harvey the nod. He will be battling it out for first against the winner of this battle, which is James Abbott up against Patrick Barley in the chase.
Yeah, James Abbott in the lead, gets through turn number 1. Patrick Barley with that super aggression that he's shown all day and has got him this far into the top 4. James Abbott though going up the top of the hill. Patrick Barley with heaps of speed just has to tighten the angle there a little bit so he doesn't make contact.
Diving in on the CRC replay here, we have Patrick Barley door to door with Nigella, the Hi-Tec Oils S15 with James Abbott behind the wheel. Patrick Barley's had some serious pace all weekend, and we've seen him battling Beau and go to a number of reruns, and now against one of the other big scalps in the Hi-Tec Oil Series. It seems like the young gun is just really all over these guys today.
Yeah, we haven't really touched on it yet, but he's put an adjustable sway bar in the rear of this car, so he's able to adjust it between his lead run and his chase run. And as you see, he just pulls away from James Abbott this time. Look how fast the S13.5 from AB Racing is. Comes up the top of the hill, goes there mid-track. James Abbott doing everything he can to try and close that gap. But Patrick Barley did open it up there on turn number 1, and James Abbott had to do everything that he could. As you can see on the CRC replay, James Abbott puts the visor down and just has to go through that S's through turn number 2 and 3. Not as much angle to try and close that gap up on Patrick Barley.
Came close at a couple of points, and we'll see it from some other angles here, but Patrick Barley just so fast there. And it's interesting that this car's able to not only produce the pace, but it's also blowing the rear tyres off as well. So a lot to be said for the naturally aspirated V8 under the bonnet there. So we will see the young guns go head to head. Matt Harvey and Patrick Barley in our final battle, while Mitch Jeffrey will be facing off against James Abbott that we're catching up with now in the pits.
Jabbett, mate, you're still in the battle for a podium position here at round 1. If you can nail third place, that'd be a great start to the 2020 season, wouldn't it?
Oh man, compared to this time last year, we were done and dusted before the top 16, I think. So we're definitely getting a hang of the car, and we're learning what it needs and what it doesn't like. I still feel like we're off the speed there. I just tried my best to do a perfect lead run, so I couldn't get marked down in points for that, and then just tried to hang on to the back of that car. But Barley's on fire. He just took it to Beau, and I think he's had a fair few practice laps before my battle, so I knew it was going to be tough. But yeah, I think we did all we could do. Add some more grip for next round and come back. But I mean, we're still in the run for a podium for third place, so we'll wipe that clean and go again.
It's interesting to see how important grip is becoming in this series. It's always important in drifting to give you that consistency and wanting the car to come back, but as individual drivers in the field step the grip up of their setup to match the power, other people are having to do it to compete. In the Pro-Am series, we do have these drivers on street tyres, so a bit of a step down in grip, but the speed is still up there, especially as we get to the pointy end with Ben Odgers leading Glenn Ormerod here. Beautiful lead run from Ben Odgers, but Glenn Ormerod all over him in terms of speed as well. This is a nicely matched battle, Matt.
This battle is very flowy, isn't it? As Ben Odgers, they're probably a little bit shallow there on turn number 1. Glenn Ormerod gets a little bit of advantage there. The little rotary-powered Corolla just likes to get up in the revs, and once he's in those revs, that car is really flowy as he goes up the track, and that's the line that the judges have picked for this weekend as they need to go mid-track over the top of that hill.
We'll switch them around now, though. That little naturally aspirated rotary screaming away under the bonnet of the Corolla, whereas Ben Odgers, a bit more power under the bonnet, I believe, a JZ hiding under there. Beautifully presented S15. They both come through that outside zone, and Glenn Ormerod filling it up nicely, but Ben Odgers will not be shaken and is all over the back of that little Corolla.
Glenn Ormerod comes in here with a little bit of a gap going through turn number 1. Once again, doesn't give room for Ben Odgers there to put his nose of that S15 in, but he comes up the hill, opens up a little bit of a gap. Ben Odgers closes that. The S15, like you say, has plenty of grip, Dave, and it just powers up the top of the hill, and Ben Odgers will take out third position on the Famous Insurance Replay.
It's great to see such tight battling going on in our Pro-Am series. The drivers have done so well, and we've had our biggest field yet for round 1. So by all means, if you reckon you can throw down with these guys, make sure you get your entry in for round 2. A lot of these guys will be back here and battling again with Brian Cruikshank up against Colin Keogh to see who will get the top step today.
Some issues there for Colin Keogh as the car straightens up and looks like a mechanical issue. The wheel has come off of that S15. Colin Keogh is just rolling to a stop there. Brian Cruikshank wouldn't know anything that's going on. He's kept a perfect line coming up the hill, and he is going to go through. But we see up on the screen Colin Keogh with a big mechanical failure there as the wheel comes on. We check it on the Famous Insurance Replay. You can see it, he was straight into turn 1, bit of a wobble. We can't see it, it's off screen. Then the wheel comes on the screen, goes into our barriers, and the car just rolls off into our pickup zone.
Losing a wheel's never a good time, and it's not the type of drift trike that you have fun on, with Colin Keogh managing to pull that car up without too much damage, but it could have gone a lot worse if they got further through that battle. Managed to get the wheel back on under the 5-minute rule, so we'll spin him around, and Colin Keogh in the lead up against Brian Cruikshank.
Yeah, let's see how he goes with this repaired S15. Colin Keogh, though, blazing the tyres as he goes into turn 2, fills that outer clipping zone. He's got nothing to lose here. He's at the disadvantage. Brian Cruikshank goes wide as they come over the top, and Colin Keogh spins out. It is not his day, Brian Cruikshank. Well, he's done a fantastic job this weekend at the Hi-Tec Drift Pro-Am Series, all thanks to Famous Insurance. We look up on the replay. Colin Keogh filling that outer zone. The transition there, though, as he comes back, just goes wide, lots of speed, and he spins out here as they go over the top. Brian Cruikshank doing a nice job so he doesn't run into him, and Cruikshank will take the win.
Wasn't the best way to win against Colin, but you know, I'd take him where I can. So yeah, I'd like to thank Zoo Performance also and Falcon Tyres. So thank you.
So there's our results for the first points on the board in 2020. Brian Cruikshank securing himself a lead over Colin Keogh, Ben Odgers and Glenn Ormerod were our top 4. Adam Burgess getting some points on the board as well, and I know he's eager to get that Falcon back out here and steering right, piloting a BA XR6 Turbo and representing Australia for the boys. So hopefully he's able to get that car back up and running and out there with some pace. Back into our Pro Series now, though, we have James Abbott leading Mitch Jeffrey. Nigella, the Hi-Tec Oils S15 up against the Gearbox Masters X13 of Mitch Jeffrey that seems to have some serious pace today. Both these drivers hungry to get a strong result and get their way onto the podium. Looked like Jabs, though, having a bit more angle and really nailing those clipping points in the lead.
Yeah, the CRC replay really shows that there. Opens up a little bit of a gap going into turn number 2, and Nigella just smokes those good ride tyres up the top of the hill, and he sort of just leaves him behind. Mitch Jeffrey's trying to keep that speed as they go over the top. The judges did say once you go in that outer clipping zone on turn number 2, it should be full throttle all the way up the hill, nice and flowy.
It was nice to see that on board, though, and I didn't pick earlier from the outside, but James Abbott did slightly close the door on turn 1 on Mitch Jeffrey. So let's see if there's going to be any larger mistakes from Mitch Jeffrey, or if James Abbott is going to be able to make his way through here. Man, that's close on the chase, though. Both the drivers to the outside track edge. This is the sort of thing we expect to see in our third place battle. And James Abbott, incredible chase there, right on the back of the Gearbox Masters S13.
And I think on the CRC replay, you can see both Mitch Jeffries and James Abbott on their lead runs did not give much gap on turn number 1. So, you know, they're going to get a couple of deductions there, but James Abbott, I think, will take this one in the third position. He's going to be really happy with that. The CRC replay, you can see the footwork there. And there it is. The win comes up on screen. James Abbott will get on the podium for round number 1 of the Hi-Tec All-Stars Pro Series here in Sydney.
Love that camera angle, watching James Abbott being busy on the pedals, busy on the controls, on and off the handbrake just a little bit, but making sure that, you know, he's not touching Mitch Jeffrey. So beautiful chase run there and a well-deserved third place for James Abbott. But here we have it, our final Matt Harvey up against Patrick Barley, two of our longest distance travellers here to prove it on the national stage, and that's what they've been doing. Very aggressive chase there from Patrick Barley, but Matt Harvey has been so smooth all weekend. Beautiful transitions, leaving the door open there as the judges have asked for from the lead driver. That is a flawless lead run from Matt Harvey.
I want to watch this replay in slow motion. Look at it right there. Matt Harvey gives him a little bit of space. Patrick Barley goes, you know what? I'm sticking the S13.5 nose right in there on turn number 1. This angle's better. The Power Plus Race Fuels S13 there of Matt Harvey, though, fills that outer clipping zone. Patrick Barley has to go a little bit shallower to maintain that proximity. As they come over the hill, it's very, very clinical. Let's check it out, though, as Patrick Barley will lead this one. The AB Racing S13.5 has come all the way from 11th position in qualifying. And look at that, puts on the smoke show, but Matt Harvey just shows up the red on the front of his car. There is no distance between them. They must be swapping paint codes, I reckon, up the top of this hill as they transition. That is so close, Dave.
It's going to be interesting to watch in the replay because that sort of proximity in the chase position requires a lot of tactical moves. And we saw Patrick doing it before just in the middle section. But let's watch Matt Harvey here. So tucking in almost door to door there, but then backing off the proximity to allow the lead car to switch back and then diving in again. So both drivers managed to be close enough through this centre section here to need to do that in-out sort of move. But Matt Harvey carrying that proximity the whole way through the rest of the run, though. A killer chase run for our final, and one that has secured Matt Harvey the win.
Yeah, I know, right? Which credit to the team, we put on an awesome show, and the car was faultless the whole weekend. So credit to Mum and Dad and Sam for putting on the car so I can actually battle. Thanks to my sponsors, Kumo, Joe Cholich, Power Plus, all the other guys, D-Speed, Corporal, and Disco for making the car awesome. And we're stoked to be on number 1, and we're here for the rest of the season, so it's pretty damn awesome.
If I hear the line one more time again, I think I'm going to have a drink. But big shout out to my Nana Popper at home, my mum, my dad and Tony for sorting out the car, MCA Lux Performance for sorting us out with all the gear. And absolutely stoked to be drifting with Matt. Super easy to chase, had an absolute ball of a time, and keen to be back on the podium once again.
Compare this to this time last year, and we're on the trail early, and it wasn't a good start to the year. We still managed to finish in 4th for the year last year, but with a very slow start. So if I can take this 3rd and build on that for the rest of the season, I think we're in a good position.
So after round number 1 of the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars, this is how it's panned out. Matt Harvey from Tasmania taking a big swag of points to start off in 1st position. Fantastic to see him coming from so many other series, and in round number 1 putting his mark on this one. Patrick Barley in 2nd place, that's his highest position so far too. James Abbott in 3rd, Mitchell Jeffrey goes in 4th position, Beau Yates down in 5th, Warwick Hill in 6th place, Danny Probert up in the top 10 in number 7, and Scott Schembri in 8th position.
A bit of a gap there for Beau in the points. He's going to have to do some chasing, but we know he's going to be hungry for that. We'll see a lot of these drivers back down at round 2, Winton Motor Raceway, 9th and 10th of May. We'll be running the Pro and the Pro-Am, so if you're in Victoria or from around the country and want to throw down with some of the best drivers in the country, get yourself down to Winton Motor Raceway on the 9th and 10th of May. As the champagne sprays, each of these drivers has laid down a solid start to round 1. Matt Harvey, a new face in the season, and also Matty Cav joining us up here in the commentary booth. What a great way to kick off 2020.
What a round it was. Probably the best I've seen at the Hi-Tec Drift All-Stars Pro category, so I cannot wait to see what round 2 is going to bring us.
That's it from us. Matty Cav and Dave Carter signing off. We'll see you at Winton.
Coming up after the break, we head to the Val Thorens Ski Resort in the French Alps for round 1 of the 2019-20 Andros Trophy.